Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to Budget with a July Dreamer. My name is Miranda, and on this channel I share with you personal finance content as well as lifestyle content in the form of vlogs. Today's video is going to be about my mortgage and the fact that my mortgage has gone up again. And in today's video we'll look at all the factors that has led to my mortgage going up by £1,000. Yes. Like, I'm laughing, but it's not even a laughing matter anymore because what? Anyway, let's get into today's video. So last year I shared, back in May 2024, I shared a video with you guys where I talked about my mortgage going up by £600, and I gave you the reason why it had gone up by £600. And obviously everybody was asking, you know, could I just not remortgage, blah blah blah. And I did mention in that video that I was going to be remortgaging this year, 2025, which I have done. And yeah, the main reason, let me just start with, I've got my little piece of paper because I've got a couple of notes here, but the main reason that my mortgage has gone up, there are two reasons why my mortgage has gone up. Is because one, interest rates. Even though the Bank of England just announced a decrease in our interest rates, over the last 5 years since I became a homeowner, we have seen the interest rates increase to an all-time high for my generation. This is not for those who used to have interest rates at 9%, 10%. No, that's your generation. My generation, I started my finances or managing my own finances after the 2008 financial crash. So I've got a couple crashes under my belt, and I didn't even know that we were going through it. All I knew was like life was tough for my parents and in turn for me as well. But when I started like managing my finances, interest rates were it wasn't a thing for me like that I needed to bother with. And then when I did finally get my first property, my home, my interest rate was 1.62. that was the interest rate that I had, 1.62. And now we're in the fives. I think 2021, 2022, up to until maybe last year, interest rates had risen up to about £6. People were being quoted like triple what they were paying before in terms of mortgages. So interests have risen, which for some of us is the worst thing ever. But for those who've seen 9%, 10% interest rates, they're just like, well, you know, it was different. But yeah, you were kind of buying a 50k house. Our properties now is like 200k, which is a lot. 9%, 200k, that's a lot of money. But anyway, so one of the reasons is the interest rates, and the second reason is because I took some equity out of my house, and we're going to talk all about that in today's video. So when I bought my property in 2020. I put in an offer January, February, everything went through, and by March I had moved into my property. I had put down over 100k, I think about 120-ish k. My property was 340k, no, 350, 60k, but then we negotiated and brought it down to 340. That's what I bought my property for, right? Yeah, that's how much I bought it for, and it's a 3-bed 2-bath house. Yeah, obviously I know people have got opinions about a single woman buying a 3-bed house. I don't really care. I wanted a 3-bed house for my future family, but also mainly because I wanted to have my own space, my own bedroom, which I didn't have to share with nobody. I also wanted an office. I work from home. I have been working from home since 2018. So for me, it made sense to have a room that's specifically my office. So I do have that. And then when I have guests, I often call my second bedroom as my parents' room, because my parents, when they visit, that's where they sleep. When my friends visit, that's where they sleep. When siblings visit, that's where they sleep. But it's kind of just nice to have somewhere for my guests to sleep instead of being in the living room. And most times when like my parents would visit me in other previous properties, I'll have to sleep in the living room, or else they take my bedroom, and I've never been a fan of that. No offense to my parents or even to my friends or everybody that have visited me, but I just love sleeping in my bed. You know, I don't mind sharing my bed with a friend when they come over. Like when the girls come over, there's 4 of us in our group. When they come over, 2 will be in the second bedroom and 1 will share the bed with me in my main bedroom. So there's just that. That's why I bought it. No qualms about it. I know people have got opinions about that, but again, I don't care. Anyway, so that's how much this property cost me. The interest rate that I had when I bought my property, like I said, was 1.62%. That meant my mortgage was just under £700, and I paid that for I think up until I remortgaged 2 years later. I did a 2-year fix. In the UK, we do have 2-year fixed interest rate, 5-year fixed interest rate. I have heard of 10-year fixed interest rate. I've never done one before. I've never actually even had like my mortgage advisor hasn't brought it up as an offer to me, so I don't know exactly what it looks like, so I don't want to speak to that. And also then there is the type of mortgage where it's like an interest only mortgage, which is what I have for my rental properties, but we're not talking about my rental properties, we're talking about my main home. So my interest rate then, 1.62%, meant that I was paying just under £700 with respect to my mortgage, and that was a comfortable amount, very, very comfortable. And I think 2020, 2021 into 2022, I was sending less than 30% of my overall income onto my home bills, and I think including like maybe fun as well, I wanted to say, because I was sending about 50% towards my savings and investments. So I did have a comfortable life, if we can say that, a comfortable life. So I had enough, and even when they projected that if it was to double, I would still be fine. Obviously since then, since 2020 to now, my pay has increased as well in line with inflation. Actually, is it in line with inflation? It's a lie, because my pay rise, again, I'm not knocking this because I know there are people who don't get any pay rises whatsoever, but my pay rises are between, I want to say 3.4 to about, I think max 5% increase every single year. I think that's how much I have had so far. But if I compare it to like the current inflation rates, when I got the last pay rise, our inflation rate was higher by like 1.62%. So it wasn't exactly in line with inflation, but it wasn't far off, right? So yeah, anyway, so that was like very, very comfortable for me, and I was paying extra. This is something I've been doing since I took out my first mortgage ever, that I pay extra towards my mortgage every single month. I like to round up, so I don't pay the 10% that most mortgage providers like recommend. If you want to pay extra towards your mortgage that you are limited to, I do pay a little bit, that with hopes of reducing how much I have to pay in terms of interest in the long run. So that's why I do it, but I don't do it too excessively. I prefer to invest that money instead. So yeah, anyway, so that was 2020, 2021, and the first half of 2022. Then 2022, I decided, was it 2022? I think either 2022 or 2023. I'll put the correct year here when I'm editing the video, but I decided to take out equity from this property. I think it may have been 2023, because 2020 I bought my house, 2021 I bought my first rental property, and I had a deposit ready for that already. 2022 I bought my second rental property, and I had my own deposit for that. 2023, yeah, it's 2023 I guess, because that's when I decided to release equity from this house and then bought my third rental property, right? So in releasing equity, like I said, I had put down over about 120, I want to say 120k down for this property. So I took out part of that. I took out 50k from that from my equity. So my house obviously has gone up in value. Right now, I checked yesterday, it is currently at 430k. So it's gone up by over 100k. Is my math correct? 320. So 430, 3 okay, about 90k. So 90k plus the 120 I put in, that is 210. Yeah, so that's how much I had in terms of equity in this house. So I decided I can take out 50k from the property, right? So that's what I decided to do. Bought my third rental property and Bob's your uncle. Now, so I went on another 2-year fix. Wait, did I go on a 2-year fix? I don't know what I did. Did I go on a 2-year fix? I don't think I did. I think I went on a 2-year fix with the equity release, but not with my mortgage. I think with my mortgage, I ended up just going with the standard variable. Yes, because I wanted to later on match up my equity and my mortgage to be one. This is what I've done this year. Yeah, so I wanted to do that this year so that I'll have one mortgage again. But I had 2 mortgages essentially on this property. So the 50k, 60k essentially plus what I already owed on the house, right? So that's what I have been paying for the last 2 years. And last year when it went up, the shock of my life, it was because obviously of the equity release. Like my fixed period ended and the interest rates shot up to crazy amounts. So I went from paying, so I'd gone, firstly I was paying just under £700, then I remortgaged and I started paying just under £900, and that was paying already for me, jumping from just under £700 to just under £900. I was just like crazy, but it was only crazy because it was eating into my fund money. That's why it was crazy. But then it went from 900 to 1,500. I'm like, ha, God, look at this, how crazy. I was a whole mess, to be honest, but I told myself, like, let us actually, and one of the reasons why I did this outside of releasing equity to buy a property is I went on the standard variable because I wanted a trial run for this year and onwards. I know this is crazy to say this, but I wanted a trial run to see, you know, like what my life would look like, me paying about 1,500 towards my mortgage, right? And how I would live my life, how that would impact my life, because with the way the interest rates were going, that is exactly where we're setting ourselves up for. So when I discussed this with my mortgage advisor, we looked at my finances and I could do it. There are certain things in my life that I would have to cut, and I was okay to cut some things, but otherwise I was still comfortable enough to have this mortgage increase. But it wasn't a nice one because the interest rates were not forgiving, and because it was standard variable, every single time the Bank of England increased the interest rates meant my mortgage increased as well. Yeah, that wasn't nice. But also on the flip side, whenever they decreased, my mortgage company, my mortgage lender also reduced it. But one thing I learned, they didn't reduce it as much as I thought. So I remember when my mortgage had gone up to 6.7%, that's the highest I've had so far in the last year and a half. When it went up by that much, I was like, this is crazy. Then Bank of England reduced it to, I want to say it was like 5.5 or 5.25%, if I remember correctly, because I remember watching Damien Talks Money. He's a UK YouTuber. He was talking about the interest rates coming down, and I was like, oh, let me go check what my mortgage was. I got a letter from my mortgage provider and it hadn't gone down like the same as the Bank of England. No, it had gone down. They had reduced it for sure. They had reduced it. But they also have the Bank of England rate plus their own little rate on top. So mine did not actually go down lower than the Bank of England's rate. So I think the Bank of England rate was 5.25%. Mine was 5.65% with the mortgage provider. So in terms of how much it gone down, it went down by about, I think when I calculated, it was about £30. That's how much it gone down. So I was just like, okay, didn't really make much of a dent. But having those two loans, and both of them were kind of like on standard variable for the duration, for the 2-year period. Actually, no, only my mortgage was standard variable, and then the other one wasn't. Or is it the other one? I actually don't even remember. I don't care at this point, but I cared then, just not now. It was an interesting thing. So I was sending, if I look at my budget, I was sending 1,500 towards my main mortgage and between £340 to £400 towards my advanced mortgage. So essentially I was sending about 1,800 to 1,900 pounds every single month towards my mortgage. So almost £2,000 to my mortgage. To my mortgage. That was crazy. Yes, I felt that, and that definitely has impacted my life. What is crazy is I have added more debt to my life, plus also I have added in things like therapy, which costs me a nice amount, and I have added in swimming, which is fine, it's affordable enough, but I still haven't stopped traveling because life. But yeah, you guys, I was just like, okay, we need to look into this. But anyway, 2025 finally came. My mortgage advisor and I started looking at the numbers, and we're like, okay, we're going to merge the main mortgage and the advanced mortgage together to make it one mortgage, and then see what the interest rate for that would be. Started doing the research, and I got an offer from an unsuspected mortgage provider that I had at the beginning of my mortgage journey, and we've gone back to them again, and they offered me, I think, what did I write here, 4.47%. So now my new mortgage is just under 1,700. So essentially from 2020 through to 2025, my mortgage has now gone up by £1,000. £1,000. What? Like I said, one of them is because of the interest rates. I started at 1.62% and I'm now at 4.47%, which is a crazy. That's a 2.85% increase. Again, for those in the UK especially, will be like, oh, we've had interest rates higher than that. Yes, your generation has had. For me, this is my first time experiencing this, and it's the worst thing ever. I'm not being dramatic. It's the worst thing ever. Yeah. Anyway, but also my balance in 2020 was about £220,000 on my mortgage, and now it's 335-ish thousand pounds. Do I regret taking out equity from this property to buy another rental property? No, I do not. I have essentially taken out almost all of the equity. No, not almost all of it, majority of it, of the equity of the 120k that I put into this property. I've taken the majority of it out to buy other rental properties. People in the property world tell me that is a smart move. I don't feel that sometimes. The equity that I have in my property now, majority of it is market growth than my own monies, and that's crazy. That is crazy to me. It's crazy, but I will still continue making extra mortgage repayments to my mortgage because I do want to pay it off earlier than the 30 years that I have left on this mortgage. We started out at 35 years mortgage. Now my mortgage term is 30 years, which is crazy because how old will I be then? It'll be 68. Yes, I'll be 68. And I'm planning to retire 50 onwards. So we need to tighten up my fire movement. We need to tighten up. But anyway, I have sprouted enough today. I have spoken enough. I had just written down some things on this piece of paper. I've written down the interest rates, the amount of mortgage I was paying at the beginning versus what I'll be paying now, and then how much my mortgage was at the beginning versus what it is now. And numbers don't lie. It's £1,000 increase in 5 years. Not something that I had envisioned, but also nobody, at least that I know, predicted 2020 to happen the way it happened. Then everything that has been happening ever since, and the interest rates flying up left, right, and center. I'm a millennial. I feel like I've lived 3 lifetimes already, and half the time I just laugh about it, and half the time I don't even want to think about it. As an avoidant person sometimes, it's not good, but we move. Okay, I feel like I just had a therapy session with you guys. I have spoken what was on my mind and what was on my heart, and I feel good. I don't like the numbers, but I feel good. Okay, until my next video, y'all. I'll see you in, I don't know when, but soon. Thanks for watching.